Welcome to Video Game Storyteller. In this series, we will take a look at specific moments in video games that were incredibly engaging and left an impact on the player. It's not about what story is told, it's how it's told. In this episode, we will take a look at a fighting game based on the Castlevania games, Castlevania Judgment, and take a look at Golem's story. Castlevania Judgment was received with mixed to bad reviews, however, there are a few surprises in the game. The fighting system, while clunky at times, is solid enough for a good time, and it boasts an amazing soundtrack, which include rock and orchestral remixes of classic Castlevania music. Some of the character models are hit and miss. Takeshi Obata, creator of the Death Note manga, was hired to redesign the characters, and his style really shows. Characters like Alucard, Simon, and Maria look like more intricate versions of their original costumes. However, other characters had more liberty in their redesign. Eric Lacard is completely unrecognizable in design and personality, and it feels like he was created to fulfill some cute boy quota. Grant Dynasty is just atrocious, looking more like an unused design for a Shinigami from Death Note. But what many people may overlook is that Castlevania Judgment actually fits into the canonical storyline of Castlevania. The game is clearly a love letter to Castlevania fans, the characters were taken from specific points in the Castlevania timeline, and there are also a ton of references to other Castlevania games. Simon was taken after the events of the first Castlevania, but before the events of Castlevania II, Simon's Quest. As such, Dracula mentions the curse that he put upon Simon. Trevor, Grant, and Alucard were all taken past the events of Castlevania III, but Sypha was taken before she was turned into a statue. As such, she does not recognize any of her old allies, while they all know who she is. It is unfortunate then that the story mode seems to be something of an afterthought, as it is basically the story mode from Evil Zone minus the charm and professional voice acting.
Oh no! Am I dealing with a kid?
Don't look down on me just because I'm a kid! I'll never give in!
Don't throw a fit! You're acting like a baby!
A little girl in a place like this?
This little girl beat Dracula, you know!
You defeated Dracula?
Yep, it's true. I beat him with Richter. We did it together.
If that's true, I ask you grant me a battle.
I guess that'd be okay. Well, whenever you're ready.
One of the biggest surprises in the game is Golem. Golem is a character unique to Castlevania Judgment, similar to Aeon, but instead of being an original character, Golem represents the typical Castlevania boss, the big monster at the end of the level. The game made an interesting twist in giving one of these boss monsters sentience and self-awareness. Golem is portrayed as a gentle giant, being the biggest character yet the most reluctant to fight. His simple words belie a complex range of emotions. Golem might say little, but he understands much. His words carry weight as we see Golem struggle with what he is and what he wants. Golem is a monomyth hero whose love of humanity is the source of Golem's greatest joy and tragic end. Joseph Campbell's book, Hero with a Thousand Faces, is a fascinating look on how myths are developed and structured. We can use his framework of the monomyth or the hero's journey to see how many stories about heroes, from Hercules to Harry Potter, seem to follow this cycle. Elements from this framework will be used to analyze Golem. The opening scroll summarizes what Golem is: a living puppet brought to life with black magic and created to guard some ruins, aka your standard generic Castlevania enemy. But as Golem was sucked into the time rift, he gained a soul. Golem then meets Aeon, who serves as his call to adventure. Golem understands little of what is happening and wants to know why he is in this place. Then Aeon gives him his supernatural aid, in the form of direction. Many of the Castlevania characters, upon realizing what is transpiring, have a desire that they could only fulfill in the Time Rift. Simon wants to know if he defeated Dracula with his own power, or was it all the power of the vampire killer whip? Grant wants to make peace with the fact that the woman he loved chose another over him. What does Golem want? To know why he lives. And on Aeon's cue, the Road of Trials begin. Campbell mentioned that the Road of Trial often occur in threes, and in the story mode, every character has 3 enemies that their storyline will force them to fight. Fated encounters, if you will. Golem's first fated encounter is with Cornell. The two seem to have one thing in common, a curse. However, the two seem to have a different understanding on what a curse is. While Cornell sees his altered form as something that torments him, Golem seems to like the change that has befallen him, which is why he cannot accept it when Cornell says that the curse is bad. Though the exchange is short, it does clue us in that Golem likes what he has become. Golem mentions wanting to learn about the curse, which could mean that he wants to learn more about the soul he possesses, which is his version of a curse. Over time, Golem has been able to articulate more what it is he wants, even with as little of a vocabulary as he does. When he meets Camilla, he has more words for it now. He wants to be human. Camilla is portrayed as something of a temptress in this game, but when Golem goes to her, he is drawn to her by something different, as evidenced by him calling her Mama. Golem wants to be human, and mistakenly believes that Camilla, his creator, could do that. But Camilla wants to put Golem in his place and return him to the tool he was created to be. Golem might still be looking for guidance, but it seems that he is developing faith. Despite Camilla reminding him that Golem is just a pile of metal and meat, he still believes that he can be human. It would be devastating for anyone to realize that their creator thought so little of them, but Golem seems to be guided by something else. While he might have been seeking affection or protection from Camilla by calling her Mama, he is not deterred by her condescension and presses onwards. Golem's final fated encounter is with death. Rather fitting, if anyone would know the nature of life, it would be death. Golem's desire has changed from why me live to what does it mean to be human. And death gives Golem something of an answer, though death eventually wants to bring Golem in line like Camilla. Despite this, Golem is elated when he realizes that just by thinking, just by seeking answers, this already makes him human, and that fills Golem with so much joy.
Me so real. Me happy.
In many hero stories, there will often be a conflict between what the hero wants and what the hero needs. Here, it is Golem's crisis point as you enter the true story mode. Golem has realized that by leaving the Time Rift, he will lose his sentience and self-awareness, but if the Time Rift persists, everything will disappear. While Golem hates how humans are afraid of him, he is more afraid if humans disappeared. This is the point where Golem shows more courage and heroism than most of the game's cast. Golem goes into battle knowing full well that even if he succeeds, he will lose everything and leave nothing behind. Golem's love of humanity extends beyond self-preservation, leading to a very poignant line.
Me fight for human. That what human do.
This line is quite moving, especially on how many Castlevania antagonists have such disdain for humanity. It is quite ironic that Golem was created to terrorize humanity, but now Golem is a creature who cherishes humanity, holds it as an ideal to strive towards, and is willing to sacrifice everything to protect it. In a game that featured so many heroes from so many eras, the one character who was willing to sacrifice everything they have and everything they are is Golem. Golem's end is truly tragic, even more than most tragic heroes. There will be no songs of remembrance, no celebration, nothing. After defeating the Time Reaper, Golem returns to what he was before and is killed by an unknown hunter. But in a way, Golem doesn't care for any of those things. Heroes often have a treasure of some sort for overcoming the crisis. What is Golem's treasure? The one thing he sought out in the first place: humanity. It was enough for Golem to experience being human. As brief as it was, Golem was genuinely happy and had freedom. Golem protected humanity, not because it was his destiny like Simon or Trevor, not because it was his burden like Alucard or Cornell, not because it was his duty like Sypha or Shanoa. Golem did all of this only because it is what Golem chose. Thanks for watching. I know any continuation of the Castlevania franchise is unlikely, given the direction Konami is taking their company and that Koji Igarashi is already working on Bloodstained, but who were Castlevania characters you wish were included in Judgment? I know many fans wish Soma was in the game, even though he is technically in it already. Well, let me know who your picks would have been. Until our paths cross again, see you, Vampire Killer.